advancing the power of education around the world. Welcome to the Cyanna podcast.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Really excited for today's podcast because we have Danielle from AMCA joining us today. And today we're talking about the value of third-party certification in vocational training and in education. So Danielle, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to all of your clients and share the value of certification overall, not just for AMCA and healthcare, but overall. If people can get a better understanding, that's a true win for all vocational.
Well, so Danielle, I know a little bit about AMCA for a number of reasons. Now, you and I have been on the conference circuit together, right? We have seen each other in multiple cities across the U.S. and even worked together in some of your efforts in compliance when I was still with Cyanna. But for those that don't know about AMCA, can you give us just a little bit of a background about what AMCA does? First off, what does AMCA stand for? And, what do you do as a company and a service?
That's great. Yes. So AMCA stands for American Medical Certification Association. And we're part of the allied healthcare world. So acronyms are something we use on a daily basis. On a high level, we are a third party that validates skills. So we are a national certification agency. And when you say national, it basically means we went through the roots of, like you said, during compliance, getting accredited so that our certifications are recognized in all 50 states. We are also working in 16 countries, but we do offer actually 12 different certifications, only really focused in healthcare. Right. We have a nice little branch of career advancement programs that you and I can chat about later, about being lifelong learners. And we started in 2010, really with a hard launch in 2012. Fortunately, I can bring about 30 years, like you said, of road warrior experience in certification to help educate people.
That's awesome. So tell us, I know you have that you spoke about working primarily in healthcare, but what are some examples of the types of schools and clients that take advantage of your services?
Oh, that's a great question. So we actually have three targeted markets. The largest middle market is really what we call private post-secondary institutions, organizations that are running short-term healthcare programs that are not leaning towards degree. So the certification becomes part of that. The other large market is, like you said, career tech, which is your high school. People, we're going to talk about that with some statistics. 53% of high school graduates do not choose a 4-year degree granting program right out the gate. So that is a very large a market to provide career. And then there are actually the 4-year degree candidates that come back to have added value. I have a degree in one sector, but now how can I specialize? So it really covers a lot, but those are the three markets.
That's great. So when we talk about third-party certification, I think people understand that they get certified in a range of different things, healthcare, being one, but also things like CompTIA certification for the IT fields. But at its roots, can you tell us what third-party certification really is? What does that mean, and why is it important?
Excellent. So, in a quick sense, so a certification agency, which, just so people know, to date, there are 6,700 different certification agencies in America. And currently, I think there's 43 million Americans holding a certification. So it's important to know what we represent and the importance. And a certification is truly, like you said, a third party that comes in and validates skills that someone would have learned during a course. They take an assessment so that most of them are entry level and that they can present that I've learned these skills. If you're taking a short-term program and you don't have a associate degree or a bachelor's degree tied to it, some people don't understand where they get that validation of their skills learned. And that's where certifications come in.
Gotcha. So let's say, Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you also asked about the importance. So I didn't know if you wanted me to elaborate on the value to the
That's
holder.
exactly where I was going, right? So because you have, let's say you have a school, the school does the training, right? But they're charged with reporting sometimes at the compliance level, success rates, completion rates, yada yada yada. But
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about the value of why the third party piece is so important.
Excellent. So the importance and the value does actually start with the value to the certificate holder.
Mm,
But then there is absolutely the value to the public, and then there's value to the employer.
hmm
So there are differences. Immediately to me, the certificate holder, I am going to be recognized by my peers right away. They're going to have a higher level of respect for me and professionalism, knowing that I did not, this was my choice to go and get my skills validated. It's not a mandatory. Certifications are voluntary, which
hmm
makes them even more important. They absolutely, to the certificate holder, will allow you to have more job opportunities. There's a little misnomer out there in the industry. Hospitals will not put required certification in their job posting,
hmm
but they're not looking at your resume if the word certification is not on there for medical assistant or patient care.
Right.
Even the same goes true, like you said, with the CompTIA and all those. So they're not putting required, but they're not looking at resumes. So you can absolutely earn more money, have more job interviews, which is the goal. Like you said,
Right.
what is the outcome? How are we being measured? The more people that earn the certification, get a job, and earn more money is going to lead to compliance reporting that all of the institutions are required. Gainful employment, right?
Right. Exactly. So, what's it like for a school or a training organization? They say, "Hey, we do a great job of training folks. We have folks that really graduate, but we want to add some like added value. We want to work with AMCA." And what does that look like? How does someone, partner with AMCA? Is there, an implementation process or even an onboarding process?
There's definitely a nice onboarding process. And through going back to that compliance rule, we really developed quite a nice ongoing process. So, to get started, first thing we always ask is, are you following your state guidelines?
hmm
And that's not taking the pressure off us, but if you're being governed by the federal government or if you're receiving state funding, you have to be approved by the Department of Health or the
hmm
Department of Education. Once you have that standing, then it's filling out an application, opening an account, and it might seem easy, but the nice thing with AMCA is there's no contracts, there's no cost to get started, and we include all of the study material to help you prepare. So the process does seem easy by opening an account, filling out an application. Once that's done, the onboarding does go with us. We are very involved with orientations, showing you how to use your dashboard, helping you learn about proctors on our policies and procedures. We don't have a lot, but we do have to have certain rules in place just to help all of us stay organized. So we try to keep it simple. We onboard anywhere from 5 to 7 new schools a week.
Wow.
So it is something that's an ongoing process, and we are constantly with you, helping you every step of the way.
That's great. So, given that you guys have been doing this for, almost like 10 years now, right? As a school is thinking about going down this path with you, and given the amount of schools that you have worked with, what are some advice you would give to a training school that is considering third-party certification? What are the types of things that they should be kind of looking at, if you will?
Sure. So if a school wanted to work with AMCA, like as to why they should think about it,
hmm
okay. One, so I always tell people that it will absolutely, if you're a private post secondary school, it'll help you with your marketing
hmm
efforts. So if you want to set your institution aside from ABC school down the street by including the certification, it's creating a convenience for the candidate to finish your program, get taught by that school, have a great experience, but then take the test right in their classroom. Where if you're not including a certification for any of your programs, that might lead for the student to have to go to an offsite testing facility,
Right.
which kind of never happens. And then their placement numbers drop. So there will be an effect if you don't include certification.
Okay.
There definitely will
Interesting.
be.
Yeah. So I know we focus at AMC. Obviously, it is all medical, but you have a lot of experience in this industry. Are there any emerging areas of education, and specifically, occupational training, where this third party certification is becoming important?
There's actually two areas, and then you want to talk career advancement, but we all kind of know what happened to the healthcare industry, and not to keep talking about the pandemic because we are out of it. But the medical assistant patient care world was greatly affected because of the more people retired. They retired a lot quicker. So the job openings, you still need to focus, even though we are healthcare, you still need to focus on medical assistant, and you do need to focus on physical therapy tech. Whereas so many hospitals, get you in for your surgery, but you're out quick. And I think we've
Yeah,
all experienced it.
that's right.
We've been like, wait a minute, I've been here one day. Rehab centers are popping up on the corners, just like the clinics.
Right.
So there is a huge emphasis on physical therapy, and a physical therapist is a 4-year degree. There's a huge shortage. So the huge openings of people to focus on is physical therapy tech. There's a technician assisting the therapist so that they can get things set up, see more patients. So that is something they want to focus on, that what areas have expanded. When there's a shortage in one area, that's where the world of techs really start to grow, because the techs can still be billable hours to the doctor's office, but they're able to get the patients prepped so the specialists can do what they need. The doctor can, do his diagnosis as opposed to having to do the prep. But the other thing is that there's a big buzz. The big buzz in the industry is, of course, mental health technicians or
Really?
mental health tech. Everybody wants everybody to be conscious of mental health, but there is something if you're thinking of that area, people have to think of, which way am I thinking of it? We cannot replace behavioral health, substance abuse, which is typically mental health. And those are 4, 5, 6, 7-year degrees. But they want our health industry to have mental health, be conscious of mental health. And when I talk mental health, I'm talking about, okay, if I'm a medical assistant, what's going on with the patient? What's going on in their mind? What about the family in the room? What is their mental state?
That's right.
And yeah, they want people to be, it has to do with right bedside manners. If I'm mentally conscious of what they're going through, they're not going to be so rushed or short when people are asking questions. So there's a big push for mental health, but the first step is figuring out which direction the organizations want to go in. It's quite interesting what's going on. Once again, a big push from COVID.
So a very similar question then, as you look at where AMCA has been and where they are going next. If you look into like your metaphorical crystal ball here, what's next for AMCA?
We're definitely focusing on launching more. Instead of, everyone wants us to launch more certification exams because there's a lot of great industries popping up. We are focusing on new career advancement programs. And a key thing is nutritional wellness. Once again, just like mental health, hospitals they want their medical assistants, patient care technicians, even their phlebotomists to be conscious of, if you're a diabetic, what foods shouldn't eat? I'm not going to be a nutritionalist with a 5-year degree coming up with your diet. But before, do you know the effects of insulin? Do you know the effects of certain drugs that are being administered? So the hospitals are really looking towards that. We've got great data. So that is our focus for 23. But we're also launching, we're jumping on the bandwagon with the AMCA Plus. our premium services, and really trying to figure out how to set ourselves apart. What can we give our clients at no cost? Higher levels of job placement.
Yeah.
Like we said, a better certification management system, as well as better, like we said, nutritional options for career advancement certificate programs. So we have a very busy year ahead of us.
That's great. Well, Danielle, really appreciate the time. Where can they find more information about AMCA?
They can actually enjoy a brand new, we just launched a brand new website, www.amcaexams.com. I think the layout is easy to read, very informative, or they could shoot me an email. I'm always on my email, Danielle@amcaexams.com, or call the office.
That's great. Danielle, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott, and really happy holidays.
You too. We'll see you.